everyone. Welcome back to another episode. I'm Cindy,
And I'm Ashley.
and today we're going to be talking about Asian American. Well, growing up as Asian American. And so
No, we're
today's
going to talk about Asian Americans.
yeah,
We're not Asian Americans.
let's just decipher it. But the question for today is between the two of us, who seems like the better texter, and why? You can go first. I'm going to eat my orange.
Like, if I was just basing it off of like our text conversation, I would say I am, just because I respond faster. But in general, you probably for texting in general, like other people too, I'd probably say you are probably a better texter than I am. Because I don't really text people unless I need something from them. Does that make sense? Or like I'm like, oh, you want to hang out, or oh, like we should call sometime. It's never like, oh, like what are you up to today?
Hmm.
Or just like general conversation. I don't do that.
I think that's fair. I'm trying to think if I do that. I think I used to do that, like, oh, like what's like how's it going? Anything new?
Yeah.
But I think as I get older, I'm a more terrible texter. Like I have so slow responses.
Well, you always have your phone on do not disturb.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, she's not gonna see this for a while.
I know that's why you have to press like the disturb button.
Yeah, but you said you don't see it if I do that, so
Well, I mean, like I just don't notice a difference.
yeah, so it doesn't really help even if
Yeah.
I do that. So maybe
The
you should just
fastest
not have
way,
it on all the time.
yeah, the fastest way to text me or get to hold of me is to call or FaceTime or I mean like generally if it's like leading up to an event and I know some people are going to be texting me, then I'll turn off my do not disturb. But other than that,
Okay.
it takes me a while, I think, to respond to people.
Yeah. Or like when you're walking, even when you're like walking here, and I'm like, or I'm trying to meet with you,
Mm-hmm.
and we're like trying to figure out, like, I'm like, oh, I'm coming, and then I'm like, you're like, okay, and then I'll be like here, and I'm like, and you have your read receipts on, so I know when you read it, so I'm like, okay, but it's also do not disturb, so I send, okay, I'm here, and then you don't read it, and I'm like, come on, come on, but yeah.
Yeah.
Have you always had your read receipts on? Sorry, this is
Yeah. Like for us or just in general?
just in general.
Yeah, I've always had it on. Why?
I don't know.
Do you have yours on?
No.
Oh, that makes sense. So you can see when I read your messages, but then I can't see when you read mine.
Yeah.
What? I thought that Apple had an update where like you can only see like read messages between each other if you both had it on.
I don't know. I can see yours when you read it, yeah, but I don't have mine on because
What?
I tend to sometimes I read it and I'm like, okay, I gotta think about my response so that I'm like, okay, I'll respond in like
Oh. Yeah, no, I don't turn off my read receipts or read receipts because it's just like I don't really care that much. Like if I read it and I don't respond, like then it's like, okay, and then what? Like I guess the other person could be like, "You're not responding to me," but then I'm like, "Well, just be patient."
but
At least you
you
know I
read
read
it,
it.
so like
At least you
the
know
thing is
I
if
read it. That's a good
no, but
thing.
if you read the text and you don't respond and it's like a question or something, I'm like, you really couldn't respond. You took the time to read it. Come on.
Well, I think the one thing about having those receipts on is like sometimes I'll look at a message and I'll like completely forget to respond. And so then it gives the initiative to the other person to be like, "Hey, question mark."
No, I would just think you're annoying. Like you're ignoring me. I'd be like,
Well, yeah,
wow,
that too,
she's
but
really
like
ignoring me right now.
well, then I guess that's also another point, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just open messages and I forget to respond to them. And so it just says
You know,
read.
there's like a feature where you can open it if you don't want to respond right away. You can like mark it again, so it like marks as
Oh.
like if you have a new message.
You see, I've done that before, but then the message just like ends up being at the bottom. I just like don't see it anymore. It just disappears.
Oh, you're just very popular, I guess.
No, I think I just have a lot of group chats and family I'm texting.
Mm. So yeah, very popular.
But yeah, going into this episode, let's first talk about how we feel about being Asian American.
How do you feel about being Asian American?
I think if you had asked me this question like 10 years ago, I would probably not say, I'd probably be like, I don't want to be Asian American, or it's hard to be confident while being Asian American. But now I feel very proud to be Asian American, and I'm glad that I am. And how life has turned and how I've grown in the identity and just like celebrating it, it has allowed me to like appreciate it.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's very common for like Asian Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they like that like transition from being like, oh, I don't really want to like be Asian
Yeah.
to like as a young person to like being like, oh, I'm gonna embrace like
Yeah.
being Asian.
Did you ever feel that way? Like you just didn't want to be Asian American?
No, I think for me, since I am adopted and
Mm-hmm.
my mom's white,
Yeah.
so like some of like the cultural experience that you might have, like or like things that are part of your Asian culture, like I didn't have those necessarily. So like I was Asian like by looks, but I wasn't really doing cult like things other like Asian families would be doing.
Mm.
So I don't know. I feel like for me personally, I was like, oh, I like being Asian because I'm like, oh, that like makes me special.
Yeah.
But I also didn't like. I feel like one thing that is common that people say is like they would get making fun of for their like food or something.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
for
like
sure.
I ate normal like American food. Like my mom doesn't cook Asian food. My mom doesn't cook in general, so it was like I didn't experience that or anything. And yeah, I don't know. So I never like was like, oh, I don't want to be Asian. I was like, oh, I'm Asian. I guess that's cool.
Oh, it's an interesting perspective. So,
Yeah.
do you align more with your adoptee identity than being Asian American?
I I don't align more. I think they're both like equal.
Okay.
Um, I think it's just a different perspective that I have as an Asian American versus like somebody who grows up in an Asian family.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I don't know. Because personally, I guess one thing that I thought was very interesting. This is kind of not the same topic, but is I'm a lot more interested in learning about like my like cultural like my ethnic background, I guess, or whatever. But as being like Asian compared to my sister, I feel like she's interested but not actively interested. If that makes sense. Like
Oh, interesting.
she I don't think she ever went to any like Asian like student event.
Events and stuff.
Yeah. She was more into like her techie and her light show and stuff. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I feel like I was more interested in that and was like seeking it out more than my sister was, but I don't even know where I'm going with this. But yeah, so I think in terms of being adopted and being Asian, I think they're in terms of like which one I identify more with. I just identify both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like growing up, I definitely did bring like Asian food to school,
Mm-hmm.
but I never really was made fun of it just because I like grew up in the school district.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like grew up within the community, then it's just like they know you and they just don't really care
Yeah.
to make fun of you.
Yeah.
But I've had like friends that like moved in like middle of middle school or high school,
Mm-hmm.
and they were literally like made fun of,
Oh,
especially if they're not white.
yeah.
So
Yeah, we also
it's
like
hard.
both are from
Like
like
white,
yeah,
predominantly white
communities and
institutions.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
those white suburbs, it can be hard on you if especially if you like don't grow up in the area
yeah.
or if you like really care for their opinion. So like
Yeah.
one day I brought this like sticky rice
Mm-hmm.
with like it was like meat since it was like egg, Chinese sausage, just random things in there, and it was wrapped in like a bamboo leaf.
Mm-hmm.
And then I brought it to school, and someone was like, "Oh my gosh, like what is that?" And I explained it to them, and my friends were actually interested in it. They're like, "Oh, that's really cool," and they like wanted to try by it, and they liked it. So
Yeah.
I like to say my friends are a little bit more open minded.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely think it's also not necessarily like the kids because I've heard stories about how now it's like kids are a little bit more interested in like learning about or like just interested in different foods versus I think that's also like parenting in a way being like oh like it's cool to like try new foods and like be interested in other foods but I think as I don't know maybe back then it was just like oh anything different is just weird which
Yeah.
is I don't know not good but where was I gonna go with this I had a point now I forgot yeah I don't know did you ever get like bullied or
No, not at all. I don't think so. Um, I think one thing was like I definitely felt very like I felt like I had to like conform with other people. So
mm-hmm.
like everyone would bring their school lunches, and so I would bring a school lunch too.
Mm-hmm.
and they would bring sandwiches, and so I'd bring sandwiches. Like I'd make my own like PB&J or just like a ham
Mm-hmm.
like lettuce sandwich. Whereas like in general at home, I literally just eat rice every single day with like other things.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't feel like bringing that because then I would stand out. Like I didn't
Yeah.
want to stand out more than I already was because I looked different from them. So
Mm-hmm. Did you ever feel like, besides like food aspect, did you ever feel like, oh, I'm not the same as these people in other ways?
yeah, because like we couldn't really relate. So like it was hard to connect with people on a deeper level
Mm-hmm.
because it was hard to share the same struggle. So like as a daughter of immigrants,
Mm-hmm.
I had to like do everything on my own, figure it out myself. Whereas everyone
Mm-hmm.
else was like, "Oh yeah, my parents are doing this for me and this and that." Like when I was doing college applications, I had no idea what I was doing. Like yeah, my dad went to like a community college for an associate's, but other than that, he had no other knowledge and it was basically all on me and like
Mm-hmm.
asking for help. Whereas like all my friends were like, "Oh yeah, my parents are helping me with this and that." So in that way. Like you just can't relate to it. Like you go home and you just have to do different things compared to white people. Like white people are just so focused on, I guess, having fun and making friends, which you still do, but there's just like an added adult responsibility because
Mm-hmm.
like I'd go home and like some days we'd have to just like read the mail and like translate it to them
Mm-hmm.
or like create passwords and create accounts and help them navigate. So those are just some things, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I feel like I do that for my mom, but she's white, and I think I feel similarly. I don't think it's necessarily because of like being. Well, I think Asians have a lot heavier focus on like academics and
Yeah.
stuff, but it's not necessarily like they're helping you. It's just like, oh, we want you to do well.
Mhm.
But in terms of my mom, I would say she's very passive in helping. Like she'll be like, "Oh, like how is it going?"
Yeah.
But she won't be like, "Are you getting it done? Like, did you finish? Like, you want me to eat it?" It
Yeah.
will be like, "Oh, did you like have you done it?" Or like, "Oh, how is it going?"
Mhm.
And I'll be like, "Oh, it's fine." And my sister was no help at all. I'm like, Katie. Anytime I ask my sister for help for anything or advice, she's always like, "I don't know. I had to figure it out on my own." I'm like, "Well, yeah. So you figured it out. Why can't you help me now?"
Yeah.
She's like, "No, you just gotta figure it out." I'm like, "Okay."
Wow. Very
But
helpful.
yeah, so I don't feel like personally I got that much help or like I think that's just how my mom parented us. It was like, oh, you gotta want it yourself to like or be motivated yourself to do it versus like harping on us to do it, which I kind of wish she did because maybe I would have tried a bit harder. But yeah, I don't know, but it's interesting because I feel like because my friends also who are also Asian, I feel
Yeah.
like that's similar to like how they felt about like um their experiences is just very different from other people's experiences in like non-Asian families.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah. I'd say because I was the oldest, I had to help my brother a lot with a lot
yeah.
of things.
You should tell my sister that she should help me more.
I mean, she like barely responds to like fast enough over text messages,
Yeah,
but maybe when I see her in person, I'll tell her.
yeah.
Yeah, step it
No,
up as the oldest kid.
no. I think no, our relationship has definitely become better as we've been older, but honestly, I'm like, I don't even remember what we did as like young people. Like if we ever really like talked that much.
Oh, that's
Like I know we
sad.
talked, but I think most of our conversations were just like complaining about like when we had family over because they were really like our family's just really loud. They have really loud voices compared
Yeah.
to us. So it's just that when we had people over, it's just very loud environment, and we're like, oh, it's so loud.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's the same with my family. Like, I think I don't know if it's like just Asians or just my parents or just like my relatives, but they all speak so loud. It almost
Yeah,
sounds like they're yelling.
I think it's just parent or like older people, but
Yeah. But are there any challenges that you faced being Asian American
hmm,
or any, I guess, advantages?
I don't know. Let me think about it. How about you? What
I think one
challenges?
thing is like going into a career. I think it's hard to be one, like very few minority, there's very few Asians in a very white corporate culture.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's hard, and it almost, like, to me specifically, it almost makes me not want to speak up or be the attention or have my attention, like have the attention at me, or it like it doesn't make me confident at all in what I'm saying, because it's like at the end of the day, are they really gonna listen to me? Probably not. But then on the other side, the pros of being Asian American is they always think you're so smart and they just trust you, that you're always doing the right thing, and they never will doubt you. So like if you're like sick at home for a day, they're gonna be like, oh, like get well soon, but they know that you're probably doing your work. Or if
Mm-hmm.
like you're on vacation, they know you're probably doing your work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't ever assume anything bad. They always just think you're studious. Or at least for me, I feels like.
I feel like this might be totally wrong, but because I think one thing I saw was how like Asian Americans tend to like not take up as many leadership roles
Oh yeah, for
within
sure.
companies, but I wonder if that's not totally related to or not unrelated to just like racism and like how we view like Asians and stuff, but also how, because I feel like white people in particular are very vocal about trying to like get like um not one up people, but they're
Hmm.
more like vocal about, oh, I did this or I did this. Whereas Asians, I don't necessarily think are like um pushing that into people's faces about like what accomplishments they've done. It's
Yeah.
more like, oh, I know I'm like done all this stuff, but I don't need to like be like, oh, look at all like my accolades and stuff that I have. It's just, oh, I have them. So then it's like they might get passed over because they're not necessarily like boasting about it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I don't know, but I that could be totally wrong. It could just be like how corporate is. But yeah.
Hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are there any particular ways that you celebrate being Asian American?
Not really. I'd say like when I was younger, we used to. My mom was a lot more, or pushed us, or not pushed us, but like had us involved in a lot more like Asian like cultural events, like Chinese New Year and stuff like
Ooh,
that.
fun.
But and like we also did like the like Chinese school or whatever.
You did Chinese school?
Yeah, but I
We did Chinese school too.
literally hated it. I don't think it lasts. I think I did it for maybe for a year, but it did not last very long for me. But
Wow, I bet you we were in the same classroom.
I don't know. I all I remember was being like in the class and they gave us a book to
Mm-hmm.
like read because you'll like read the opinion or whatever. And I was sitting there, I'm like, I don't even know how to read English. How am I supposed to read this? And my mom always is like, I like whenever I ask her, she's like, you were in the same class with people your own age, and I'm like, but they knew how to read. So are you sure they're the same age or just the same level of like not being able to speak Chinese, like just beginner Chinese? And I'm like, because that's very different than being not being able to read at all
Yeah.
or like barely. I was like, and then I remember going to this Chinese camp, like a summer camp thingy,
Oh, wow.
and it was like a day camp. It's not like you're
Not with
going
nothing
around.
overnight or
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
But I just remember they really encouraged you to speak Chinese, but I didn't know Chinese. And basically, you only got rewards if you were like speaking Chinese. And I was like, I don't know Chinese. This sucks here. Like, I don't like it here. And my sister was also there, and she was not like she was fine. She was also like, get away from me. Like, I'm trying to like make friends my own age. And I'm like, Katie, help me.
How was the food? Was the food there good?
I have no idea. I just
Oh,
remember being so sad about it being there.
I never went to a Chinese camp. That sounds fun, but I did go to Saturday Chinese school, and it was just torturous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't even know where I was going with this. But yeah, so my mom did try to like get us into like those types of things, but once we started other activities like sports
Sports.
and for my sister like theater and stuff, it just wasn't. We didn't have enough time to do that or like keep it up.
Oh,
Basically,
okay.
also going to Chinese school 1 day a week. and never speaking Chinese anywhere else doesn't really help that much.
I mean, maybe you should start speaking it more often.
I don't know it, so how am I supposed to speak it?
Do
But
you know any words? Have you picked up anything for Chinese?
not really.
Do you know how to say hello?
Ni hao.
Yeah,
But like,
that's good.
yeah.
I think looking back on what I did to celebrate Asian American, growing up, we would do a lot for like Chinese New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Like we eat like a lot of food, we get red envelopes.
Yeah.
And I went to Saturday Chinese school, which was torturous. Like in the beginning, I just don't remember learning anything except for like my mom sitting next to me and just reading everything out loud to me. And I was like, this is not helping. And like my cousins were in the class, my brother was in the class, so it was literally like us all meeting up and we would just play Minecraft. We literally played Minecraft in the back of the classroom, and we did that for up until like middle school. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Like that's I think about what like 4 or 5 years of Saturday Chinese school, and I'm not even fluent in Mandarin. I'm
Did
so
you
sad.
did you take a language in high school?
I did. I took Chinese actually, because that was the only way that I could like stop Saturday school.
But
Yeah, by
like,
taking Chinese at the high school.
yeah. How was your Chinese for like high school?
I was actually really good, but then again, like it was literally me, one other Chinese kid, and everyone else was white. So it's like our pronunciation was really good. Like everything was really good. I was like my top in terms of Chinese language, but then I didn't have anything else to speak it with.
Yeah.
So I didn't practice it and I just kind of like went downhill from there. But the things that I've learned from Chinese aren't really like conversational. It's just like it's talking about like family or like objects or flowers, just like random category or clothing items. Like what? But I know the important parts of Mandarin, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think as an adult now, I just go to Asian events and then that's about it for me. Maybe next year I'll try to do something special for Chinese New Year and like host it or cook some food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really do anything now besides go to like Asian events. I don't even do that really now.
Wow, we should. I want to see. Do you think they have the adult version of that Chinese day camp?
I don't know.
Oh, but it seems interesting, the day camp.
I just remember I started crying and then they gave me stickers because I was so upset.
Oh, that's so sad.
But yeah, I think that was like the end. That was probably like the end of my Chinese school.
Oh,
Because yeah, it was so bad.
that's so sad.
I don't know. I kind of wish my mom would have forced us to keep doing it, but I don't think it would have helped just doing it one day a week still.
How often would you want to do it?
I don't know. I feel like you need more immersion when you're a little kid.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. But I wish I knew Chinese, so
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
One of the questions on here is, do you look up to or follow any Asian American influencers?
Well, I really like Asian Boss Girl.
I do
like
love
their
them.
podcast a lot, even though I feel like it's kind of hard to relate because they're a bit older than us. So
Yeah.
and they like to talk about like corporate stuff. And I'm like,
Haven't done that
good
yet.
for you.
Yeah.
But I do like hearing about their experiences and stuff. And then I watch what's her name, Remy.
Ooh, I love Remy.
I don't. I think it's fun when she like cooks different foods and she'll like cook different Asian foods and stuff. That's cool. But I'm trying to think of any others. Do you have any that you have?
Let's see. I definitely relate with Asian Boss Girl and Remy. Some other I used to follow Jen Im. Jen Im. And I really liked her cooking videos. It just seemed very soothing and she would like talk about therapy a lot and her mental health. But now I think she's like going through a divorce.
Oh.
But she won't address it to anybody.
Yeah.
So, like, that's interesting. I used to actually watch Bub's Life. Her name was like Lindy Sang. She was like a beauty girl, but I really liked her family vlogs, and they were a Cantonese family. And so I like to follow Cantonese speaking people,
Yeah.
or at least I try to, just because I find them more interesting and more relatable, and it allows me to learn some words because I just don't want to lose a language. Do you know Junibi Matcha? I think that's what it's called. They're based in like California, but I follow the founders of that, and they have 2 sets of twins, which is why I follow them because it's so funny to see how they manage their life.
Yeah.
They ever since they had kids, like those 4 kids in total, they haven't been able to like sleep in the same room together or in the same bed together because they have to like because they have like two sets of twins, one's older and one's younger.
Yeah.
And so like they'll split the duties and like someone will sleep with the younger twins and someone will sleep with the older twins.
Oh my.
And I was like, that's so sad for your
Don't
relationship.
they have like their own beds like these twins?
Yeah, but they all have the like wake
Like
up their
how
own
old are
time.
they? I guess.
The older twins are like toddlers, I think, and the other
Okay.
ones are still like walking babies.
Okay. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I guess they can parent the way they want.
Well, I think it's because like the younger ones, they wake up to do like feedings. I think they
Yeah.
still breastfeed or
Yeah.
like milk bottle feed. So they just didn't like want to wake up the husband and didn't want to wake up the older twins.
Yeah.
And so they're just completely separated. And I was like, interesting life dynamic.
But that's not forever. That's
Yeah.
temporary.
Mm-hmm.
But
The twins are so cute. Let's see. I also follow. It's like this Asian girl from Hong Kong, and she's like engaged to this white person, and she's a TED Talk speaker. Rice Fam, I think that's what it is. That's what her family's called. I don't know what her name is. I think it starts with a J, maybe.
I'm trying to think of other like influencers. I just watch like I don't watch a lot of like Asian Americans that like have more content focused on being Asian American.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, their regular lives, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely am still looking for more like influencers that are Asian American, just because like I feel like it's just better to be in that space and to hear what they're speaking up for and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Another question is, did you ever feel discriminated against or face any stereotypes? And if so, how did you break those stereotypes? That's like a follow-up question.
I don't personally. There was nothing that was. I don't feel like I did like felt discrimination. Maybe people did it, but like I didn't
Oh, you just didn't hear
recognize
it?
it
Oh, okay.
immediately. Yeah, I don't feel like I actively was like, oh, these people are discriminating against me. How about you?
I I don't remember ever being discriminated, though my school district actually was being sued by parents saying that like the school district and like students within the school were being like discriminating against people. And I don't know how the lawsuit went through, but I think they got some money, I want to say.
So the school was discriminating against students, or students
It
were
was
discriminating?
students within the school discriminating other students and like just doing things. So like for example, I think one thing they did was it was I think it was blackout. Like, you know how like, you go to like the football fields and there's like themes. I think it
Yeah.
was like blackout and some white person put like black face paint over their face and
Oh.
then took a picture of it and then made a joke. And everyone's like, well, that's like not a funny joke.
Mm.
And then yeah, they just like did some random things. And honestly, it doesn't feel very targeted. It doesn't feel like it's intentional in that way, but I can see how it comes off that way. So like in that manner, it's definitely like I get that point. And so parents were suing and then
Doing in the school?
the school district because I don't think you can sue a
'Cause,
specific school.
Like I don't even know how you would sue the school district for that, because they can punish the kid, but they can't really can't control what kid does.
I don't know, but they were suing the school district and it got on the news too. It was very
I
interesting.
saw it whenever it happened.
Yeah.
But that's
So
crazy.
that was interesting. Like it never happened to me, but like at the time I was at school, I don't even recall seeing more than like one black person in school. Like it was
Really?
yeah, like the school I went to, mine was
Yeah.
just very white. I think I looked online, the statistics were like 90% white.
Wow.
Yeah. Mhm. But in terms of stereotypes, I don't think I faced really any. I definitely think that I probably fell into the bucket of the stereotypical like Asian academic person that like loves math, loves science, is involved in like all these extracurriculars that are very studious based versus sports. But no one really came up to me and was like, "Oh, can you help me with this because like you're Chinese or something?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I don't feel like people did that.
Yeah.
I feel
Thankfully, my generation or our generation didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know how this generation is going to be. I feel like they're just going to be staring at their phones.
Yeah. I don't this generation. I feel like they have so many other problems besides just like discrimination or stereotyping. They have so many other.
They have problems of staying away from technology, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to our next question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find a community to find a sense of like belonging?
Well, so in terms of like high school and middle school and stuff before that, I definitely felt like, well, elementary school, I don't know how I made my friends. I think I just made them somehow.
Your elbow buddies, that's how you
Yeah.
did it.
I guess you're always in the same class basically in elementary school. You have the same people, so you
Yeah.
just make friends with them. But in middle school and high school, well, in middle school, I would say my friends were mostly like athletes because we would like did traveling basketball or club soccer. So they're like people you like know already, kind of, or you've
Yeah.
seen. So that's how I made my friends there. And then in high school, actually, how did I make? I think the proximity also kind of
Okay.
that's how I
Yeah.
made my friends that I had in high school. But now I feel like I try to go to like the like Asian student events and stuff
Mm-hmm.
and do stuff like that. But I'm also very introverted, so it's very hard
Asian
for me.
gala. Woo.
Yeah. But how about you? How do you make your friends?
I think in elementary school, I think it was definitely just like based on proximity. Like whoever was in my class, I'd just be friends with. I had two besties. One was Asian, but then she left me to go to a neighboring city school
Mm-hmm.
because I think her parents were a little bit more educated. And so they were like, oh, well, we want to move you to a school that has more diversity and has a better curriculum. Because my school's curriculum is more focused on sports, which I think most schools are like in America.
What do you mean, like focus on
As
sports?
in, like, if you are a sporty person, like, then that's how you fit in. Like, that's how you kind of fit in the school.
Oh,
Like, you're a
well, they're
sporty
just like
person.
not very diverse.
Yeah. So, like, they weren't really challenging you academically because the school put more money and cared more about their sports. Because that's, like, what gave them money, too, as well. Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know. It's just what I personally thought.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how elementary school went. And then, oh, yeah, and my other best friend was, like, a white girl. And then she moved to Wisconsin.
Oh.
Um, Middle school, I'd say I had school friends. Well, I had school friends up until high school, but in middle school, I made them. They were kind of like continued friendships from elementary school, but then in middle school, you have like specific classes you go to, and
Mm-hmm.
so whatever classes I went to with like common people or with like friends that I'd see all the time would be like my closer friends and whoever I saw more often. And then in high school, that was where I really like branched off and wanted to find people that like would think the same. And so they created like a multicultural student club. So I went to that event.
Mm-hmm.
I went to like a DECA events and I was able to find like a tight knit group of people that I was close with. So yeah. And I can't say, I think one of them was Asian. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and as an adult now, I like to find events all over like the Twin Cities
Mm-hmm.
and events at school as well for like Asian activities. Like for example, like when we got into bouldering, I had to
Mm-hmm.
find those events and then like tennis, I'm like finding events to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to like actively find events to like have fun and stay involved and be in the know.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, sometimes I just want to hermit and be in my room and do nothing, which some days I kind of do.
Yeah. I feel like personally, I uh, I don't really like just well like for school like I would have my class friends as in the people I just talk to
Mhm.
when I'm in class.
Yeah, your school friends.
So I don't. But besides those, I'm like having people which I probably have to work on.
Mhm.
Um, just like people that you talk to or like see occasionally, like go for like coffee or something. I don't like that
Oh,
because I like either I like having a close friend
yeah.
or like a friend like more like acquaintance that I can talk to if I see them randomly.
Mhm.
But the in between, I'm like, I don't know how to
How to
be.
navigate that small talk.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's the thing. I don't really like small talk, so that's like really bad.
Wow, the weather's so nice today.
Yeah. No, I really dislike small talk 'cause it just seems so like I don't learn anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you went to work. That's great.
Mhm. Anytime someone asks me about the weather, I'm like, "Oh, nice, small talk. I like it." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, the weather."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But what was I gonna say? I don't know. Would you say it's easier to make friends with like other Asians or with other like races?
I think generally
Or it's like the same?
I think it's probably just easier with Asians, but generally it's the same. I think
Mm,
it's as long as you find like people that are like-minded, then it doesn't
yeah.
really matter who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. I feel like now more of my friends, well, more of my friends, the friends I've made are Asian. I don't know necessarily why, because I don't necessarily not want to like have other like more diverse friends,
Mm-hmm.
but that just happens. But I
Yeah.
think it's funny because my sister, most of her friends are white.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
So
surprised.
I was
Because her
surprised.
boyfriend's Asian, right?
I was surprised when she was like, "Oh, I'm like dating this Asian guy."
Yeah, because
I
you
was just
said
so
he.
surprised because I just never see her like close friends with an Asian people, like Asian people. Like I see her like
Oh,
take
interesting.
pictures where she's like rock climbing and there's like other
Other
Asians,
people
but
there, but like never a close
never
friend.
never close. Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
Huh.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, what
Yeah.
the?
I like to have like a diverse like I like to have diverse friends, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I just like find myself more like in an environment surrounded by Asians, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably why I make more Asian friends.
Yeah.
Cause like growing up, I was surrounded by white people, but that
Yeah.
wasn't by choice. But like now in college, I just like find myself at these
Yeah.
Asian events, and there's just like not as many white people there. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I used to have like a more white friend group when
Mm-hmm.
I was like middle school. That's like early high school when
Yeah.
it was just all athletes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What
I
a
guess
sporty kid.
yeah.
Let's see. Let me pick our last question. I think. Let's see. So our last question for today will be: are there any traditions or values that you want to bring into like the future, like for your kids or for your
Mm-hmm.
family, or for your friends?
Oh, good. That's a
What,
good
yeah, what do you
question.
want to carry forward?
I don't know. I think if I marry like an Asian person
Mm-hmm.
with like an Asian, like from an Asian family, that it would be interesting because then I would want more. Well, I would want it either way, but like more Asian influence, like
Mm-hmm.
for my children. But I feel like since I didn't really grow up with that, I don't know what I would like pass on.
There's nothing like specific that stands out in your mind.
No, like I would do like, oh, I like celebrate Chinese New Year, but I don't know Chinese dishes or like
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. So I'm like I don't have that to like I can learn them,
Yeah.
but it's not like the same as like having it from your family or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I would want them
That's
to
okay.
like embrace being like Chinese and
Yeah.
stuff. But maybe I should just marry somebody Asian from an Asian family and then
And they'll just bring it all
yeah,
in. They'll be like, I
yeah.
want to do this and that, and these are the
Yeah.
things.
I guess I would want them to learn Chinese,
Yeah.
but I also want to learn Chinese. So if I can learn Chinese, then I would want them to know Chinese. Well, I would want them. I think I would want them to know.
Saturday school.
I think I would want them to know Chinese anyways, but I would also want to know Chinese.
Yeah.
So I don't want them speaking in Chinese and then I can't understand it.
Wow, roles reversed. Can you imagine? That'd
Yeah.
be hilarious.
But yeah, I think that's all I would do.
Yeah.
For
I
me.
think for me, definitely Chinese New Year
Mm-hmm.
and like passing on red envelopes. That would be one thing. In Chinese New Year, a lot of people eat steamed fish,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say our family also eats like roast duck and pork. I don't know if that's like really traditional, but that's what we have as well. Every Thanksgiving, we don't actually eat turkey. We eat hot pot instead for lunch. And then
That
sometimes
sounds
in the
better.
dinner, yeah, we eat hot pot for lunch. And then in the dinner time, sometimes my mom will make a turkey. And if not, then we'll have like duck instead, which honestly is so much better. And then we'll have like maybe American like Thanksgiving dishes. So
Mm-hmm.
those two I think I would definitely bring. I think the value of education and making sure that like that's first, I would probably bring in just because like I want them to have like a good work ethic and know that they should focus on these, but then also know how to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's it. Like I'll probably try to cook Chinese food. I really want to make sure my kids like vegetables
Mm.
because I liked vegetables growing up, and so I think my mom did a really good job of feeding
Mm.
me like bitter melon and stuff.
Is that a vegetable?
Yeah, it's a vegetable. It's so bitter.
Why is it called bitter melon? I feel like when I think of melons, I think of fruits.
Anyway, thank you all for listening for today. I
Mm.
hope you learned something, and make sure to follow us, leave us a comment. We'd like to read them, and rate the pod 5 stars on Spotify and Apple. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.